So why the Long Beach and Signal Hill communities and all the communities around us should come see us is because we have something to offer. We want you to see what we have. We want you to be part of our family. We want you to see the spectacle and the majesty of the things that we do. We want you to root for the hero and boo the villain. We want you to be part of our family and see what we have. Helen Borgers came to our theater company in 1998. She was the artistic director until her death last year in 2017 in November. She really created this company. They were a traveling company that traveled out in the parks and performed for free. And then they were able to get this space in 2002. And she took what was this little traveling band of people and created a true theater company that had roots and had history and continued with her original mission, which was bringing classical theater to the people of Long Beach at an affordable price. She wanted them to feel like they wanted to pick up books after they came to see a show here. They wanted to read what they had seen. She wanted to encourage people to read and to visit classical pieces of literature, either by going to see them on stage or listening to readings or picking up that book. Our mission is to promote literacy through the classics, doing them in classic time period. So where other theater companies may do Shakespeare and they perform them in a more modern time setting, we try to do them within the time that Shakespeare wanted them to be done in. So if it's supposed to be ancient Greece and the fall of Troy, we're right there trying to do our costumes and sets to bring you to that time period. There's nothing wrong with doing it in a modern way. We just want to keep that classical feel and give that to the people because there isn't very much of it. It's more expensive to do. It's a more costly way of doing production, which is why a lot of smaller theater companies can't do it in classical time. But we feel that that's important because it's not done very often. And we are the only theater company in Long Beach that is doing that 100% of the time.
The 2019 theater program will be a season of villains for the Long Beach Shakespeare Company. What I wanted to do is I wanted to unify us against common enemies. You know, this country right now is so angry and sometimes divided that we misdirect our anger. So I wanted to explore who villains are. And villains are people who undercut the values of society, not necessarily the laws, but the values of society. Whether it's Iago's racism, Dr. Faustus' greed, no matter what the cost, or Titus Andronicus' constant quest for revenge. These things undercut our better nature and what we can be. So it's a chance for us to recognize our darker parts on stage and maybe to try to better ourselves after seeing it.
Oh, our 2019 season is the season of villains. So we have all kinds of things about some really great villains. We start with Sherlock Holmes and the Final Solution, which has Moriarty and Sherlock going head to head. Moriarty being one of the great villains of all time. Then we go into Othello, which has another great villain in Iago. And then we have, right after that, Dr. Faustus. And then we have our July reading, our radio show is going to be 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And Captain Nemo is kind of a villain and kind of not. And so that's kind of an interesting adventure with all kinds of fun characters and kind of an interesting villain, I think. And then we do Titus Andronicus, which is very, very bloody and very gory and has some very bad villains. And then we have always in October is our radio month, and we're going to do The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. We always do War of the Worlds, and we're also doing Dracula. So that will be very, very fun. And then our Christmas season is The Plot to Overthrow Christmas, which is a Norman Corwin radio show that we've adapted the stage. Helen Borgers adapted it several years ago for the stage, and that is kind of a fun show trying to stop Santa having Christmas. And so that's a fun show. And then we always end with our radio adaptation of A Christmas Carol every year. And of course, Scrooge is a bit of a villain, but he turns out to be an okay guy at the end.
The ASL Literature Slams at our company is something we're very excited to bring to our 2019 season. One of our volunteers, Max, is just a rock star at this stuff. He, for some time, has been doing our radio programs providing ASL translations, so then that way we could appeal to the underserved deaf community here in Long Beach and Signal Hill. And so he wanted to expand that and give these poets and these artists and these creative people who otherwise don't get a place to express themselves a chance to really shine and a chance to show what they can do with sign language. And even if you don't have any previous experience with sign language, it's worth coming to just to see these people do their thing in something that is completely new to you. Our old-time radio productions are fan favorites because it's a time machine. It takes people back in time into a studio of the 1930s, 40s, 50s, where radio was the way that we experienced entertainment. And it lets our audience not only imagine themselves in the story, but in another time where they can listen and go deep into the story as they're listening to it. And they're not distracted by lights and flash and worried about what this actor is doing with their left hand, because they just get to listen to the story in a compelling and artistic way.
Our old-time radio shows have their own audience. I think we have some that people who come to both our Shakespeare and our radio shows, but our radio shows do have their own audience. They're fun. You get to come into the theater and see how radio was done in the 30s and 40s. It was performed in front of a live audience. You have a few actors on stage. They're dressed like they were in the 1940s. We have a thing called a Foley table. So we're actually making our sound effects live right there in front of you. So you get to see the horses. When the horse and the buggy come through, we've got bridles and coconuts making horse hoof sounds. And we have a group of actors that are playing multiple parts. So they're doing all kinds of different voices. It's very interesting, and we always try to have a keyboard player, so we're also doing our music live. It's fun to watch. It's interesting. The shows run about an hour, so they're really great to bring the kids to. They're always family friendly. We really, really enjoy our radio shows, and I think our audiences, especially the ones that keep coming back to every radio show, really enjoy them. And the price is right. They're $12.50. So it's a nice night out, and I think people have a good time.
The Long Beach Shakespeare Acting Group is tight-knit and will forever have each other's backs. They reach out to one another at the drop of a hat. If we need to fill a role at last minute, sometimes it happens, they have a friend that they can call at any time, and they are so happy to work with each other that that friend almost always says yes. And so they are just a network that not only works with us, but works all over Long Beach and Signal Hill and serving your community.
So everybody at the Long Beach Shakespeare Company, everybody is a volunteer. There is not one penny pays for a salary, we're not even able to pay people for their drive for gas money. They come here because they believe in what we do. They want to be part of what we do. So from our lobby volunteers, or sometimes high school kids, to our backstage, to our tech booth, to our people who help sew the costumes and come in and paint the walls, and our actors, our directors, they're all volunteers. No one gets paid. Every penny that is spent for a ticket goes right into paying the overhead for things like rent, electricity, paint, costumes, insurance. So every penny that a patron spends goes directly back into this place. It doesn't pay anybody.
You, the Long Beach and Signal Hill community, can get involved with the Long Beach Shakespeare Company in several different ways. We're always looking for volunteers, whether you want to be a stage manager, whether you want to run a light board, whether you want to try something completely new. This is an opportunity for you to get involved and see what you could do. Or if you want to do something comfortable like pick up a paintbrush, we always need that too. Of course, we always love when you guys buy tickets online. It lets us know you're coming, and it supports our theater. We depend entirely on your ticket sales, except for one other way you could support, which is our donation program. And there is no minimum to that. You could donate $10, you could donate $3,000. And you will always get a thank you letter, you'll always get a handshake, and you will get your name in our program. So that's pretty cool too. So the reason I would like the Long Beach and Signal Hill community to come out to our productions is because we depend on you. We're doing this for you. This is all about serving the people of our community and making sure that they get a chance to see something terrific and to come to a place that will welcome them and to feel like a second home to them at the same time. Our patrons that have been coming here, most of them have been coming here a very long time because they feel a connection with us. Having been with this company off and on for about 15 years, some of these patrons have literally seen me grown up. And when they get to shake my hand after production, they know that it's a hand of a friend who told them a story today. And they're going to take that home and treasure that.
Why you must come see our shows. You must come see our shows because they're fun. We do a lot in a very small space. We do believe in spectacle and giving you lots of bang for your buck. We want you to think and feel and root for the hero and boo the villain and walk out and meet our cast. They always meet you at the end of the show, and you get to have that one-on-one to say how much you liked them or how scary they were or how pretty their voice was. We have a girl right now singing in our Christmas show that has a lovely voice. And we want you to be part of that. We want you to be part of our family. Our volunteers in our lobby get to know you and recognize you when you walk in the door. Our mascot Hamlet comes before the show or at intermission, and you can take pictures with him and feed him and learn all the things that you might want to know about having a pig as a pet. But we want you to come and enjoy what we have to offer. We've been here in this theater space for 17 years, and we really want people to come and see what we have to offer.